Dr. Adams, you're recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Secretary, thank you, Acting Secretary, thank you for being here to discuss the fiscal year 2024 budget. It's good to see you again. According to one study by RAND, for every dollar spent on reentry programs, taxpayers recoup $4 to $5 in just 3 years after program completion. These savings come from the reduction in recidivism and increased participation in the job market, which leads to higher income and sales tax revenue. So can you tell me a little bit about DOL's work in retraining programs?
Thank you very much for that, Congresswoman. You're absolutely right that investments in individuals who have great promise and talent are really important to make sure that they can contribute that and help to fill the labor needs that we have. Our Employment and Training Administration, or ETA, that administers workforce grants, has made this a priority under my leadership and that of then Secretary of Labor Marty Walsh, and we will continue to do so to ensure that when we talk about building this economy from the bottom up to the middle out and leave no one behind, that includes communities who are reentering.
Great, thank you. I'm sure that you are just as devastated as I am about the recent reports regarding exploiting child labor and the apparent drastic increase in child labor violations. Corporations should not be making profits off the backs of children, and children don't belong in factories or working during hours where they should be studying or spending time with their families or just simply being children. The FLSA provides critical protections for minors to ensure that they're working in safe and appropriate environments. The case that the Department of Labor brought against Packard Sanitation Services, which resulted in PSSI paying the maximum fines available for employing at least 102 children in hazardous conditions, it's a vivid illustration of just how seriously DOL takes this issue. So can you please describe the steps that you've taken to combat child labor?
Thank you very much, Congresswoman. So yes, we take combating exploitive child labor very seriously. In all of the cases that we have, we look to make sure that there isn't exploitive child labor happening. Again, to be clear, we're not talking about a young person getting their first summer job, right? Trying to earn some money and learn what it means to be in the workplace. We're talking about workers working with toxic chemicals and heavy machinery and going to work at night after going to school during the day. And so we look for cases. We cite employers who engage in child labor. As you mentioned, in that case, which was the subject of the New York Times and other reports, we issued the maximum penalty. Now that penalty, the maximum penalty is set in law under the Fair Labor Standards Act by Congress, but we also appreciate the attention of this body to looking at whether those penalties need to be increased. And we've been happy to partner with you to provide technical assistance on that. We currently have over 500 child labor investigations underway in addition to that one, and we continue to field complaints and initiate investigations. In the last fiscal year, the department found 835 companies that it had investigated had employed children in violation of labor laws. So this is a real issue. We are paying close attention to it. That's one reason why there's growing attention to it. And I'm hopeful that between our work and our budget request and the public attention that it's getting, that we might be able to make real strides in stopping the scourge that is very harmful, not just to young people, but also to employers who actually play by the rules.
Thank you for that question. Let me ask you something about workforce development and how WIOA funding has positively impacted workforce development, and what has been the impact of the WIOA on people of color in this country?
Thank you for that question, Congresswoman. So WIOA, which I think is something that enjoys bipartisan support, the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, does fund workforce programs. And many of the programs that we've talked about are avenues for advancing equity, for making sure that every single community has the opportunity to participate in training programs and to get the good jobs that are being created.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I yield back.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Adams.